Hi, I'm Poppy. I'm 36 weeks pregnant with twins, and for this video I thought we could talk about twin baby names. I'm very relieved to tell you that we have settled on our twin baby names. I can't reveal them in this video because some of my family still don't even know the genders of our twins, so I can't go into too much detail, but I can talk a bit about the whole process of naming twins, how hard that can be, and perhaps some things to consider if you're expecting twins and you're trying to come up with names. So first of all, I'll just say that something that I hadn't considered at all was that it's quite hard to name a baby, let alone name two babies. Suddenly you find that every single name you come up with, you can think of like someone you once worked with that you didn't like that had that name, or an ex-partner that had that name, or your best friends just called their baby that name. It's hard to name a baby. And then, you know, you might also want to be considering what's popular at the moment. I mean, my name, I had never met another Poppy until I was 19, I don't think, and for the last few years it's been in the top 10 baby names. So like now there are kids everywhere called Poppy. Once upon a time, like, they just didn't exist. And with twins, if you're worried already about their individuality perhaps being lost a bit because, you know, they're twins, then if you also give them a name that's really popular, you know, is that making things worse perhaps? They're already one half of a twin set, and then maybe they've got the same name as 3 other kids in their class. I don't know, maybe you want to choose something slightly more unusual for them. It's definitely something that you have to consider, I think, the whole individuality thing with twins, because it can be tempting to want to do the whole like Holly and Molly, John and Ron, like some sort of really cutesy cartoon character type version of baby names for twins. But actually, you know, you need to be able to celebrate these twins as individual babies, individual children, individual teenagers and individual adults one day. So names that rhyme, you know, perhaps aren't the best idea, as cutesy as it might seem for twin babies. But then something I hadn't considered, which some twin mums pointed out to me, was that sometimes even just using the same initial can be a bit of a problem further down the line when it comes to labelling things for nursery and for school and that sort of things. If your twins have the exact same initials, that can be just a bit of a pain. I've got some friends that have twins that are boy-girl twins, and they have the same initials. So the way they get around that is that they just label the bottles and clothes with B or G, which makes perfect sense. But if your twins are boys or girls, then perhaps that is something to consider, is to not use the exact same initials. And just simple things like when they're older and they start getting post or things from the bank, if you're getting letters to R. Smith, do you know who's it to? Which twin is that letter supposed to be going to? When it comes to inspiration for twin names, it's very similar to just trying to find inspiration for, you know, a singleton baby name, really. I mean, I looked a lot at top 100 lists. I was because sometimes what you think is popular, you just think back to your own childhood, and like, say there were so many Katies and Jennies at my school, and now Katie's, and you don't meet a baby Katie or a baby Jenny every day now. So the names now that are very popular, like Amelia, Oliver, George, Charlotte, these were names that I don't remember 30 years ago being super popular. So if you're not, say, surrounded by friends with babies, or you're not like working in a nursery or working in a school where you have an idea of what is super popular at the moment, it's definitely worth looking at those top 10, top 20, top 100 baby name lists, because you may be surprised that names that you think are quite unusual are actually now really common. Does that matter? No, not necessarily, but if you think you've chosen the name because it's unusual and then realize actually it's like the 7th most popular name this year, then that's kind of worth considering. We argued endlessly about names. My husband and I had completely different ideas of what would be good names. Before we knew the genders of our twins, we had you know, we didn't know if we were going to have 2 boys, 2 girls, or a boy and a girl, so we had to come up with name combinations for each of those, and the gender combination we've ended up having is the one that we were struggling the most with for names. So I would say if you're going to find out the genders, then it's, you know, that does make life a lot easier once you get to that stage, but it's fun in that first kind of 20 weeks to kind of coming up with twin baby names and trying to find two that you like equally. And then a lot of people have said to me, how do you choose, assuming you've got your twins are the same gender? Obviously if you're having a boy and a girl, it's obvious which name goes to which baby, but if you're having two boys and if you're having two girls, how do you choose which baby gets which name? I guess some people say you just wait until you meet them and then you can kind of assign the name accordingly. Some people can really feel, depending on their twins' positions in the womb, you can really feel like your upper baby or your lower baby, or the baby that's very much on the left or the baby that's very much on the right. And you might feel like you can already tell their personalities or have a real relationship with each baby already. So you might have in your head that your name suits one baby more than it suits the other. I'm adamant that I know which baby is which in my womb and which name goes with which baby in my womb. So unless when we meet them in the hospital and it just doesn't look right at all when we actually see their faces, I'm sure we'll be calling them the names that we have been calling them for the last however many weeks. I would say one thing as well is just to always write down any names that come into your head. I've had a really long list in just the notes app on my phone the whole way through the pregnancy, and both names that we have ended up agreeing on were my husband's suggestion, and for both of them I hated them when I first heard them. So sometimes you just change your mind and come around to ideas, and then once you've got an idea and you're stuck with it, or you're not stuck with it, but you know, once you settle on something, you start to think, I can't believe I ever thought the names would be anything other than these. So the main takeaways I would say is just think about individuality, think about whether or not the same initial is a good idea, make sure they sound good to say together. One thing that we did to like practice was to imagine signing like a Christmas card or a birthday card as like love from my name, my husband's name, and the two twin names, and see, does that sound good as a family? Like do they flow together? But yes, it may seem like an impossible task trying to name two babies, but you will get there. The only other piece of advice I would say, which would be true for naming one baby as well, is to not share what you're thinking with friends and family. Don't give them the opportunity to say that they don't like the names. Once you have had your babies and you tell them this is the names, no one's going to tell you that they don't like them. But when it's just still at the suggestion stage, people can give feedback that is not helpful whatsoever. And you know, it's a very personal thing, naming your baby, and too much feedback can be a huge problem. So you know, if you really want to test the waters, maybe ask for advice on forums from strangers anonymously, but I wouldn't ask parents, siblings, best friends their opinions if you're not prepared to hear that they don't like a name that you really love, because it's really hard once someone's told you they don't like it, and then if you still use that baby name in the future, is that a bit awkward? So our names we've kept top secret, and we're very happy with them, we think. So yeah, good luck naming your twins. And just think of them as individual people. That would be the top thing, the top takeaway. Remember, they are individuals and they're not just twins. Thank you for watching.